Right. Hello. This is our third session, our third live session of Zoom. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and start. This is recording. I'm going to place this later within our shell. So let me go ahead and admit Annie. Hi, Annie. So I already started. The session is recording, and this is just in case, very few people show up today, that at least there's a recording. So welcome. I'm just really happy that you've been able to make it, and my deepest apologies for running late last week. So I just kind of, got a little bit involved in some of the stuff I was explaining in terms of roll call. I think attendance and roll call just took over. So yeah,
Totally.
thank you. You're very kind. So again, I'm also double checking, and I'll put this in the chat, that everyone has their sandbox, their BEHI sandbox. That's the place where you will create your course. And in your case, it's a real course, but it will be there first, and then we'll double check. So it'll serve two purposes. That way I can give you feedback. And then it's just a reminder that when you all submit your assignments, I believe you go to start assignment, and you have to scroll down most of the time because we just have lengthy instructions. And then there'll be a box that gives you options for text, and then URL, website, and other things, documents. If you could place the link within the URL website, and the link that you place is depending on what we're asking for. So if we're asking for an announcement, give us a link to the announcement. If we're asking for course policies, then the link to the course policies page. And that's just a reminder, because in that way, and you probably noticed already with SpeedGrader, if a student gives you the link to what they're looking for, then you can have that link in a pane, a window, and then the SpeedGrader with the rubric right next to it. And so it just makes it a lot easier than having to copy and paste and then have two windows. It just makes it faster. Now, this course, we don't have that many folks in it, so it's a lot easier. But you can imagine with 45 people trying to then, maneuver, what windows did I open and all that. Another thing here that I'm going to give you a copy to is the Ed Tech. And so I'll put that right there. And we mentioned that Zoom now has a way to hyperlink things, but I've noticed that if some folks haven't updated their Zoom, that the hyperlinks don't work. So it just looks like the title, but there's no link there. And so that's why you see the bare link. When I say bare link, it's the HTTP, All right, so I'm going to go and share my screen now. And so you've noticed announcements, we try to keep 3 at the top, and normally this training is co-taught. Normally we have folks from 2 different colleges at least here, just to make sure, there's course policies that are different, slightly different, depending on the college. In this case, the 3 of us have exactly the same policies in terms of equity, HL, and accessibility. Those are California wide, and soon nationwide, I think. But we do have the same sort of policies in terms of reply time and all of that. So Janelle, we have been recording, and then you can get access to that. If you don't mind checking the chat to see, because there was an update that let folks see chats that happened before they entered the Zoom session. And I just want to make sure that you do see those. Sometimes you don't, and then we can just copy them. You don't see any of those.
No, I don't see it.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and copy those over so that you have them. And, one of the things that we can do, a good technique, is to ask a student, or beforehand, ask students, hey, if somebody comes in while I'm talking, do you mind just copying some of the things that I put in chat for the new folks? Normally we can all tell when somebody new has come in, especially if there's some sort of buddy system. So there are those links. And the last one is a link to the EdTech tool, which we'll talk a little bit about. Now, one of the things, and I want to thank you, Janelle, because you found a broken link, and that happens. We can go through, do a link validator, check all our links page by page, and then, you know, the moment of show time, your course is live, and somewhere in week 7, there's a link that's broken or a video that's broken. And even while I was going through some of our resources, I found a broken video. It says set to private. And so I'm like, oh no, you know, so when it was unlisted though, the person who contributed that video since then has either quit YouTube, set it to private, I don't know. So I rushed over and emailed the team to say, hey, we've got a broken video. They're a little panicked. Why do we panic? I don't know. As long as it has a title, I guess we can remind our own students that, look, do a little, you know, digging and show some grit. Go in and search for those titles and see if you can find something that's more or less the same. You know, so that's something that we can do when our students tell us, oh no, this is broken. This is, I get that a lot at City College of San Francisco for videos, because I like to use a system called Lumiere. The only thing is that for Lumiere, we have to subscribe for those videos every semester. And so that's kind of a pain. So I tried to find others like the public library version of it because it's captioned. And so some students don't like using that. So then they go and complain to the library and they're like, can't we have it in our database? And so then of course, the librarians who are lovely do not like that. All right, so let me see here. Oh, you still don't have your practice sandbox? Oh my goodness, how is that?
No, I never got an invitation or anything, nothing. I just checked.
You just checked right now and you still can't find it, huh? Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's do that
Yeah.
quick right now. Because I emailed, oh Lord, I emailed Joanna to let her know. And she said, yes, no, everybody's got their practice sandbox. I'm like, oh, okay. And because we haven't had any assignments where you need to show me the work yet. So who was the other person? It was Matthew, maybe. And so then we saw his, we found his. The issue with Matthew was, oh, you know what, Janelle? What might happen, because you were a student at Contra Costa College, right? So maybe they found one of
Yes, I was.
they might have found one of your email links and created it with that one instead of the other one. I don't even know if that's possible to go in. Let me see here. And we checked that day, right? That day last week.
Yeah.
Did we?
That might be correct because there was even an issue with HR and like payroll because I was a
Lord.
previous student worker, like all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a hassle.
Oh my, you know, if you don't mind sending Joanna Miller a message right now, just letting her know that you don't have your sandbox. And then what I will do is after our meeting, I'll go in and send another message and I'll text her. And maybe that, you know, that
Okay.
sort of doubling up will, and then explain to her that you were a student at because she might be looking at her whole set of them and say, but it's there, you know, and not realizing that you might have 2 email addresses or 2 personas, if you will, at Contra Costa. Do you mind doing that? I know it's like, we should have everything laid out and set. It's not
I
even
can send an email right now. I'll do it right now.
okay. And I don't know why, that's not even something we ask in our question. We don't even have a questionnaire, do we? No, we just have you enroll and that's it. So we don't really ask, hey, have you used Canvas before? Have you completed BEHI? Were you a student once in the district? You know what, I'm gonna make mental notes about that because I think maybe a quick little survey might have taken care of that almost 4 weeks ago. All right, so thank you for that. All right, and because you're definitely in the course, I've seen you here, and I didn't add you to the course. No, I don't think so. You've been in the course from the get-go because I think you've been jumped in during pre-course So let's see. Yes, and it's got your employee version, I think, because that's not going to be the same as your student one, right? Do you even remember your student one? The 716?
Yeah, my student, I had this, I still have 716, but
Oh,
previously it was my maiden last name too when I was a student.
oh, I see. All right. Well, if you can just include that for Joanna Miller so that she, can get everything straight, or else heads might roll, since I don't think she's the one who actually does that, who actually creates the sandboxes. All right. You probably also noticed that the only way to get into a new module is by completing everything within the last module. Now, completing is not really true, right? All it means is that, for example, you viewed these pages, right? All of these were set for view. That's all that needed to happen. Some folks have decided to view everything and then go back. You can always do that. Like these level ups, if you weren't quite there last week, when you find that you have a little bit more time, you might decide you want to participate and then jump into those that were in previous week. All right, so our agenda for today is very quick, I think, and then I get carried away last week. We are going to go over the module 3 and pre-course contact. So that, again, that's the whole setting the stage for success, right? With the welcome letter that goes out. I like at least a week before the course officially begins. That's not always feasible. As long as it's an hour before your course opens, you're good to go. The syllabus and the syllabus tool and course policies. And we're going to try to see if we can have a little bit of pass the mic. So we do have 2 activities. And if you see me rushing through some of the content, is because I want to make sure we have time for those. All right. And again, as with last week and the week before that, I tried to provide this video within the next page. So it will go here. This was last winter's tell all bundled up. So this is where that will go. That's why it's not published yet. And because it has the auto-generated captions, but auto-generated captions are not accessible. So if you feel that you would like for me to kind of roll up my sleeves, get in there and make them actually accessible, then I'm happy to do that. If there's no rush, sometimes folks who attend don't even go back and view the videos, then, I'll probably just leave it with the auto-generated for a while. All right, our learning objectives here, you can see for this week, very short and sweet, 3. I love having just 3 objectives. Sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes we have a lot that we need our students to be able to complete or discuss or explain. And those are all learning objectives that have different outcomes. The big thing is that the learning objectives start with these Bloom's taxonomy verbs, that they align with content that sort of goes with the learning objectives, and then that those provide measurable assessment outcomes. So that's why you don't see learn, hear, or understand. There's no way we can capture learning and understanding, hardly even in a face-to-face environment. There's really no way to do that. And so unless you keep a tally and you can see when their eyes light up, or, there might be a way, but it's a little bit harder to really understand or capture learning. So that's why you see these. And we had last week, we had an assignment, that the mapping that asked you to include the learning objectives there. All right. And we have a lot on the welcome letter. A lot of it is on language and sort of what needs to be there. So some of the tools for success are going to be to include if there's technology. So sometimes we can send a technology survey that just sort of asks so we can get a feel for how savvy our students are. With they're comfortable with Microsoft Word, for example, or the Microsoft Suite. Are they comfortable with Google? If we ask them to participate in an activity where they have to add to a Google slide, is that an easy thing for them to do, or is that just going to create, the amygdala hijack? Our students just going to now be so overwhelmed by just the technology that then they don't jump into participate in what really should be an easy activity. Dates, when things are going to start, important because we don't anymore have strictly full semester courses. It used to be that all the courses started and ended at the same time. Now we don't. We have 6-week courses, 8-week courses. We have 12-week courses. And then I've even seen 13-week courses, so that we want to make sure that they know when. So one of the ways to do that is to maybe tell them 8-week session. This is a homepage for one of mine. When we start, August 22nd, and how long it runs. So that might help. When new modules open, that might help also. So these are quick little things that we can place within the landing page, which is the home page, that just quickly lets students know and reminds them. Because the last thing you want is a student who's kind of been there, good student, in terms of participation, doing the reading, but hasn't really internalized the fact that this is not a 16-week course. So sometimes in a 16-week course, we can kind of slack a little bit, around what I'm thinking week 9 after the midterm, we kind of decide to give ourselves a break. And then they don't realize that, holy moly, I didn't have more time to just relax or to take a break. We're ending next week. And so that has happened with my 8-week courses when students don't realize that. Let me take a look over here. This homepage, I believe I also do something similar. Let's see if I'm not fibbing. And I show you my own examples, my pages, because it does also help keep me honest, right? Because I'm saying, oh, this is great, and not to have, what I'm saying, the date. So for example, here it has the course description. Coursework is going to be a 13-week late start. And so it could be a 13-week that started at the same time as everyone else. This one, for example, doesn't, starts on Monday. And then it's super weird because it ends on a Tuesday, which again can throw students off because they're probably thinking that it ends at the end of the week, like Friday. Some even think it ends on Saturday. And so that's why it's good to remind them, friendly reminders. Hey, we're wrapping up. This is the last week. Remember, it ends on Tuesday. Learning outcomes. And the only reason I show this is it comes up later on again. You can see those sort of Bloom's taxonomy verbs: analyze, examine, assess, describe, analyze again, appraise, identify. Now, these happen to be for the whole course. And so, of course, the module learning objectives do tie into this, right? Because they're part of the course, but not all of them will be part of every single module. And so I just want to make sure that's there. Telling them how to reach us, contact. I've had to include that my last name is Landeros and not Figueroa. And so I don't know if it's a Mexican thing or what, but my mom refused to not let us have her last name, because in Mexico, we have 2 last, and most Latin American countries. And so she said, if JFK can do it, we can do it too. That's how old we are. And so that's why every single one of my siblings has Figueroa as their middle name. I know. So that's lots of fun. All right. So that's on expectations. So normally we have those in the course policies. Course policies, we set them as its own page and link to that page, even if those same course policies are in the syllabus. And the reason for that is the syllabus gets so long that most students sort of just read through it, but don't pause carefully on certain things. But if you have course policies that just touches on the main things, like attendance and participation, grading, for example, late to work, So these are certain things that pop, and they don't take up too much, not much more than maybe a screen and a half, opposed to the syllabus, which is just super long. If you have students who you feel might need training, Canvas or online, maybe I had a student who didn't even know how to type, had never used a typewriter, forget a computer, and was trying to submit things by handwritten, by leaving them in my box at my campus mailbox. And I'm like, and this isn't all, I was dumbfounded. I didn't even know what to say. And so, you might encounter something like that. And so it helps to be able to have them go through a little training just to make sure. And let me check here. So for Contra Costa, we have a Quest. It's like a mini course. And let me see if it's Quest for Online Learning. And I put in here that it's required. I put a little icon with the little, clock. I'm just hoping it catches their attention. They can self-enroll. I don't care if they've done this a year ago, 2 years ago, as long as they have their certificate, they can send it to me. So that's fine, but I do need the certificate. So I'm very picky about what I tell them. Nothing short of uploading the certificate will be accepted. No attachments, they don't get registered. But notice that I'm not using all caps for this. Which is a little scoldy, a little finger wagging. You try to use regular, I don't even think I'm using title caps except for the Canvas grading system. So what I can do here is I can send this to both of you. Let me see, send to. And in case you want to include it in your course, you probably already have it. So let me see. Is it Annie or is it going to be Anne? Anne.
It's probably Anne. I think I'm Anne in the system.
Let's see. There you are. And
yeah.
And then the link is supposed to work. So all you have to do is tailor the language to match your style. And this image, when I send it to you, I think the image goes over, but double check to see if it isn't broken, because this image lives in my course and sometimes it doesn't copy over very nicely. And so this is a nice, quick way for you to be able to reach out to the 2 people who didn't do it, and then maybe have a little conversation about tech. How familiar are they with any tech you're using, or with even computer usage, or Canvas? And so that does help. It just helps to do this at the beginning. And for that reason, I really love opening my courses early. So for example, let's see, I don't know if I've done that with this one yet. I probably did it with this one. So this course we said begins September something. No, August 22nd. This month. What happened to our summer? Like, I really haven't even had a summer. So this month. But notice that here I have August 14th as the official start. And where I did that was in the settings. And then it's the very first tab, course details tab. Normally that's the default unless you've been working out here in navigation a lot or in the apps. And so what I do is I go where it says course and make sure it says course and not term. And then I go into the start date, and then I just fiddle with this to make it a different time. And I think here I made it a week and a day. We start officially on the 22nd. I made it a week before we officially begin. And it does help, because then those students who are a little apprehensive don't have to be, because then they have they have everything. Announcement on the welcome letter, they have the homepage, they have the syllabus, and then they have the orientation module. And I also give them week 1 module open. So they can poke around. If they have any questions, I encourage them to reach out. I have a video that does tell them, I'm kind of still on my summer break, but, so I might not reply right away, but please do. If you have a question, reach out. And then also they will have their, where is it? What course am I in? This looks so funny. They have their student to student initiated discussion. That is also already open. So that means that I can go ahead and see if they're going to have any questions. And if they have questions, I can answer them there, which means that students who come in, just a little bit later that week can see what questions have been asked and then maybe not email me. Maybe not email me about that. So I'm just really trying to foster peer-to-peer help, peer-to-peer way. I see I'm already anticipating the FIFA Women's World Cup. But it's like at 12:30. I just don't know if I'm gonna stay up that late. Anyway, so that's one way to do that. The welcome letter for this course, then let me go into, well, you see here at the homepage. The welcome letter will go up here at the top. Right now, it doesn't have anything because oh yeah, it has the great libraries. The great library resources is sort of standard for all my classes. And because of that, that's just already open in case somebody came in early. But if I were to click on these, provided my internet lets me do that, do you see how it's loading so slowly? This is really sad. But this is again, in terms of equity, we try to provide images that students can relate to. And so this is the image of where our offices are. Janelle and I have our office here. Annie, I don't know where your office is located. Somewhere behind, is it?
I'm in the AA building.
Oh, so
my
yeah.
office is just in our lab classroom. Yeah.
It's over there. Okay. And so
Yeah.
sometimes, sometimes just maybe an outside image of your building or something. We just help guide, especially if you're going to have those face-to-face and classroom meetings. So if we click here on the resources, they're super cheesy. This one here is something that I got from the library itself. And for that reason, there's so many videos. I kept the video small. If this were just a 1 or 2 video, then I would embed it so it takes up more of the screen. And these are, I'm happy to share this as well, if you would like, so that you can just put it in an announcement and let it do its thing. So let's see. Did I spell it? Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay, there you go. So now that you can again tailor it, the announcement image may come through, may not. You're welcome to use it. And one way to keep it as your own image is to do a screenshot where you just capture this whole thing. You just need to remember that the alt description for this is announcements happy to share. That's the alt description without the JPEG or whatever it is. All right, so that is in terms of, I was showing you. So the welcome letters, what I do is pretty much semester to semester, I keep the same announcements until they really are ridiculous, and then I also try to be generic. So if I have a Happy Mother's Day announcement, I will set it delayed till May, so it doesn't show up in fall. Same for Thanksgiving. Yeah, see, Janelle, do you have a question or? No, it's just a niche. Okay. And so then here you'll notice that I went through all my announcements to make sure I wasn't saying anything ridiculous. Although I do, students don't care if I'm being ridiculous. And so you see that after the great library resources, there's the welcome letter. And the welcome letter, again, I try to keep some sort of rhythm and similarity in terms of my my banners. And you can see here that I really do plan on sending this out 12th. And so I just want them to be able to prepare. I tell them how to access the course. What else? That the tips for success, how much time they should plan to dedicate, because this is not a 16-week course. So I think they need to know that they're going to have to double up their time, right? And then a note here that the underlining is the title of the book, not the hyperlink. And that's why for accessibility, we ask that we not use any underlining anywhere. But English teachers, the English department, they get a little bit upset and then some when we tell them not to use underlining for the title of a book. Because they're like, oh no, it's the title of the book. It needs to be. So then I'm like, okay, how about a happy here medium where you give them a note that tells them this is not a hyperlink. And because screen readers also think this is a hyperlink. So screen reader reads the underline thinking it's a hyperlink, and then students who are using that also get confused. You notice that here there aren't any bare URLs, HTTP blah, I'm using hyperlinks. Send here, send an email to me. This I think goes to my Contra Costa email. But I do tell them once the course begins, contact me by using Canvas Inbox. Because I send this letter through Outlook. I send it through Outlook to everyone on the roster. And then I keep track of who still needs this letter by the grades, because I showed you before that I put in zeros for all the assignments. So if I sent this out today and tomorrow morning I go to the grade book and I notice there are hyphens, then those are the 3-4 people I need to send this letter to again. And so that's how I make sure that everybody is getting this, at least gets it sent. Whether they actually read it or not, who knows, right? And notifications are great because students can send notifications to their phone. Not all of them do. The default is to go to their campus email, which many don't check. And then I do tell them you can take a sneak peek and take a look at the syllabus before the course begins. Now, we are going to test this out right now. This course is not published. And so normally when we're doing BEHI, I've already published my course that I'm showing. And so that when I give the link, everyone's, yeah, sure, it opens up. But I've never tested it with a course that's not published yet. And for that very reason, I had not published this course because I want to be able to test it out here with you right now. So this is the link to my syllabus in this course. The course is not public, but the syllabus tool, which is in the course navigation menu, should be public. It didn't open? All right, so that means that my course needs to be
No.
published. I'm like, drat. Well, because we're all apprehensive. I go over my course again and again just to make sure all the links are working, my images aren't broken and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this course. Did you hear my breath? I kind of like sucked in my a little bit. And so now I'm going to ask you, not wait, it's still thinking, it's still doing. I'll tell you when it stops doing that for the published, because I would like to see if you could try the link again to the syllabus tool to see if it will open. Oh my goodness, my computer's really dying up here. Meanwhile, I'll jump over.
It works.
It works. So
The link works for me now. Yeah.
note to self, right? Course must be published, right? Be published.
Yeah.
Because you both are not students in my poli-sci course, and yet you can see my syllabus. So this is a really great way for students to see, okay, how hardcore is she? Do I have to write? Some students flat out, I've got to write, I don't want to write. So some will tell me, oh, I have to drop. And then so I'm like, okay, is it all the writing? And so I told them, look, I promise you, I'm kind, I'm even lenient at the beginning, and I give you lots of feedback so that you can build your writing skills. Don't be afraid of it. That way you can take that and apply it to new courses. We practice that. All right, so thank you very much for helping me with that. All right, so that's the syllabus tool. And again, it has to be the one that's in the course navigation menu. If it's a page, students can't see it yet, unless it's going to be in one of the, can they do this? Yes, you won't be able to because you're not my student. But let me see. But for students who are my students, because they're people, they're people in my list, they will be able to see week 1 here, because that's already open. I have it set to be open. That means that if I had students who are curious and want to jump in, they'll be able to jump in starting right now and check out all of this because it's not locked. So they can go ahead and see the welcome orientation module. They can see the place where I have the syllabus. And I have another, it's a copy of that same syllabus I have in the page, just in case they don't thing to go to the course navigation menu, and they will be able to see that. Now, week 2 is not going to open until the Wednesday of the first week of class. So I really don't let them get too far ahead of everybody else, but they can start playing around with week 1. And so it opens at 6 a.m. So that's more or less how I manage that part of that. Any questions, as like, because I know I talk a lot. Any questions so far in terms of that? Okay. All right, so let me go back into
No,
the
it's
share.
helpful.
Yeah, okay. So we're back in our own thing here. Let me see, where did I probably didn't even leave off too far on our week here. All right, so this is going to be the hybrid course syllabus. So again, very important to have the course description, the course meeting times, and the place. If it's synchronous, students really don't know. If they just see the dates, then they're confused. Am I going to campus? Am I not? Is it Zoom? And so those things need to be ultra clear for them. Description of expectations for both online and for what they do on their own, within campus. And so if you have the expectation that they come to class meetings, they need to know that that's a requirement. Whether they come or not, that's something separate. Let's see, goals and objectives, topics, office hours, both modalities. So I've had office hours where I'm physically in my office, but I have Zoom online open, just in case the student still wants to meet me at that time, but can't come to campus. And so I've done that before. Required materials, you've probably already heard OER, zero textbook. We try to move that way. There are times that we can't, right? So I can't because I'm in a department that uses a textbook and all poli-sci 125s use the same textbook. So I can't do that, but I provide as much of that content within my course as possible. So if I have a student who doesn't have the textbook and I have them on reserve at the library and everything, that they can still succeed in the course, even if they don't have the physical textbook, because I'm trying to provide that content and break things down. What other thing? Sometimes we have old syllabi that we use. We do have to go and double check the language on that, right? Because they're embedded somewhere, very sneaky, is going to be our class meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or some crazy thing that's not really true anymore. And so it helps so that students are not asking you. Now again, post your syllabus in Canvas. So like I showed you just then, if you have it public, it also helps with recruitment, if you want, of students who are not already enrolled in your course. Our courses, the 3 of ours at Contra Costa College, are probably close to full already, if not already full. And so if it's already full with the wait list, okay, so they get to see your syllabus. The good thing is that if a student says, please, Janelle, Annie, let me into your course, I'm whatever, you've heard it all. Then what you can do is you can share with them the link to your syllabus and let them know, I'm so sorry, the wait list is full. It's kind of first come, first serve, but here's my syllabus. Please consider taking my class in the spring, or please consider taking a 6-week course in the summer. And so then that way they don't feel like they're pushed away or whatever. It's still welcoming. I think it's still equitable. You will see that all over the place. We have these equitable and inclusive teaching and all of that. So you can extend your learning. All right, so let's see here. We're going to talk about language. And I mean, we always start with kindness and respect. My kids, whenever I drop them off at school, that's what I always tell them. I'm like, honey, remember, make friends with everybody in kindness and respect. Doesn't matter who this is. Even if it's someone who right now is bullying you, don't retaliate. Smile, kill them with kindness, if you will. I'm like, don't be baited into a fight, because that happens a lot in junior high. I'm like, so it's the same as we do with our colleagues. It's the same as we do with our students. I don't think that we ever want to be curt or discourteous with our students, but when we're in the online environment and we're quickly sending replies to things, it's very easy to be curt without even knowing it, because emotion or feeling is interpreted by the reader, not really by the sender, right? And so you probably notice that my communication is very saccharine. And I think it is because I always feel like my feedback can be sometimes harsh, and so I'm like, okay, let me like tone that down, but I have difficulty sandwiching, the sandwich where you sort of like give a little bit of praise and you give them like, okay, this is what you need to change. And then you wrap up with kindness, right? So sometimes I'm just so quick to try to reply that I forget that. And we try to avoid deficit-minded language so hard. Because like even in my welcome letter or something I just showed you, it said something like, I don't even remember, but something like, I can't accept work after this date because I need to post grades. So I'm still not like, I can't accept work. There's no way that doesn't sound positive. So one of the things that I can do is please reach out to me if you feel that you're stuck for time, so we can work something out. So that language might be a little bit more encouraging. And so here you can see deficit-minded here and an example highlight in caps, all red, which we don't use. Red is not accessible because some students have color blindness. It doesn't, I say it doesn't matter too much because that just looks brown. Red and greens tend to look brown. But so we wouldn't use it to say anywhere you see red text, do this. Anywhere you see green text means go ahead or move forward. So that's the only kind of super big stickler rule. But just at a glance, we can see that deficit-minded doesn't have a lot of information. And equity-minded is a little bit more explicit, a little bit more clear, right? And so this is where I fall into this trap, that I'm trying to do things too quickly. And I don't like having an inbox with messages waiting for me. So I kind of jump in, even if I'm almost one leg out to catch a plane, and I'm just trying to jump in to try to give some sort of feedback. And that's where I fall into this sometimes. All right, so yes, we always try to encourage, even for those students who are not, they're really struggling for many reasons that have nothing to do with us, our course design or anything. We still are trying to reach out and hug them back in virtually, back to the classroom, back to the content. And so we have, again, some extended learning. Let me see the time. Oh my goodness, this goes by so quickly. So we have the course policies here. We have statements here that can help you in terms of netiquette. Sometimes we have to have this positive participation. We have to ask students to remember to be kind, and I know that sounds weird, but they sometimes now, this new generation is used to social media. They're used to canceling people. They're used to being very critical, and they're not really taking into account the fact that these are real people. We have the welcome letter. I mentioned the course dates and the welcome video. You will get to create a welcome video where you are actually greeting students to your course. So 2 to 3 minutes, 4 minutes, maybe. It's meant to be really quick. This is not where we do the 15-minute thing. Try to avoid it. And here are some points, some bullet points. I have seen some that are really nice and short. They're 2 minutes. They get to the point. They're friendly. They show the environment. All three of us right now are showing where we're actually sitting. For example, I can't always do that. but if we can, it does humanize us a little bit more. And so that helps. All right. And I think we have, starting with equity. So this is a great video, but it's long, right? And so it's not what we would like as exemplary for, content videos that we put in here, but we try to break down the whole being intrusive, where that starts. If you'd like to just jump to those places, being culturally relevant. The intrusive part, I have to say that I've only in 23 years had one student write me, because I do a lot of friendly reminders, and she wrote and said that I was triggering her, that yes, she knows that she's late with all the assignments, that my asking her, and I'm as saccharine as you can think, just super like, hey, reach out, how can I help, da da da. And so I apologized. Of course, this was an inbox message. I said, I apologize, that's not my intention. Please share with me how I can help you. And that's all I said. And then the reply message is like, I am so sorry. I'm absolutely mortified that I sent that message. I was just in a state of, stress. And I know you're just trying to help me. I don't even know why I sent that message. And so what it did it opened the door for us to have a conversation, just about maybe some stress management techniques, or, sometimes we just need a soundboard. And so I'm like, do you want to, visit me in Zoom? You can let me know how you're doing, and just chat and just be, an ear for that. Now, this is an optional level up, so you can always come back to this. And so if I weren't running out of time, I'd say that we do this right now. And all it is this is a page that's been created so that you can edit it as well. So when you reach this page, you edit, you scroll to where there's blank space already here, and you can read other examples that were given, and then share with us. Better yet, if you actually go comb through your syllabus and your welcome letter, do you have anything like this? I mean, I think I had no exceptions, no late work, absolutely not. Plan ahead, be a good student, plan ahead. And I thought I was being nice and supportive, and that's totally not. It's very deficit minded. So again, we can be a little vulnerable. If you do find something in your welcome letter, your syllabus, your course policies, then share it here. If not, what have you seen in other people's stuff? Because we've all been students. When we were students, what was it that we read that we're like, geesh, that is not friendly, and it didn't, I don't think for any of us, it would make us feel like I'm going to be a better student and just show them I'm not going to submit a single thing late or whatever. And so you'll just put that in here, and all you have to do is make sure that you save. And then this is just the to-do list. So this will go on your to-do list as an assignment, but it is an optional thing. If you don't have time, or you don't really want to participate, no harm, no foul. Don't worry about that. And so I'm going to scroll down, don't load so you don't get dizzy, and jump into new tech. So with technology, it's always changing. And sometimes I'm like, I go sit in DE meetings, and I'm like, I just can't fit another tech in my head, especially tech that requires a password. I'm like, please, more passwords? I'm like, I have to have a notebook with all my passwords. I just can't handle it. And they're like, Monica, I'm like, no, I know, I love it. I know I am super geek about this, but sometimes I just feel like my head is going to explode. And so, but you might have some tech that you use and you found students were really responsive to. The online community, we're very supportive and we share. I have not met a single person who found great tech who didn't share it because they wanted their course to be like the only special one with PlayPosit, or the only special one with some other thing. Every single person that I've encountered who had tech or had a page or something, they're like, oh, you like it? Let me share it with you. Change it, do whatever you want with it. You've got it. And so here for this, we have a mark as done, I think, on this one. But this is a Padlet. And in this Padlet, you can see here everything that folks have included. We try to keep it like a living library, so that in semester, this is the first semester ever where I've been in a hybrid, in a meeting, a live Zoom session with only 2 other people. So that if you were only sharing with each other, it's still very helpful, right? But I think it does help to go back, like Pear Deck, I had never heard of that before. So there are things here that you can use. I use Prezi videos a lot. You can see here with Hypothesis, Jamboards, and so they'll have some of that tech there. And it's kind of fun to play around with these. So having said that, let me share with you, at Contra Costa College, we have an ed tech toolkit. And so let me give that link to you if I can find it quickly enough. EdTech. So I think I already shared, Janelle. Did you get that one, the EdTech toolkit? Yes, okay. And so that's this here. You can self-enroll if you want, so that you have it right on your dashboard. easy access. You can jump right in and take a look at everything that we have. If I move us here so you can see the modules, it'll give you an idea of what you can go in and just check out. So we have, for example, like the Canvas calendar. And if you go in there, there'll be a little explanation about the purpose, the description, you know, how to use it, and instructor view and then student view, guides and tutorials. And then for the most part, we have videos. I've been noticing that some of these are broken. This is one that I created for my other college, but I'm like I said, we share and share alike. So I created this for City College, but I've placed it here at Contra Costa College. And then you'll have some Vimeos, which sadly might go away soon. And then just tech information, the availability, functionality, that kind of thing. If you need an account to be set up, or if it's already there, like that whole, is it already there? Can I just not have another password for it? So this can help you with that. And then another that we have is the DEPD. And so we have flex workshops from an equitable start to any new tech that comes out. We try to play with it, break it down, see if it works, and then we give workshops for that. And so for that, let me see here. Let me go ahead and give you that link. So I don't think I did before. And it's a link to this. I'm trying to think if you can access. Do you mind clicking to see if you can access it? Because I don't remember if this is one of those you can access without like actually being in it. You can't? Okay. So let me go into the settings here. And this is the same thing you can do for your shells, your own shells where there aren't real students in them. This is something that you can do. So you can go ahead and scroll to the bottom of your own shell, the settings, to see if you have one of these students can self-enroll. And so that's very handy in case you have colleagues you want to test out something. They can jump in and test out things, elements in your course. So let me send that to you. That's the self-enroll for this PD. And it's actually open to everybody. So it's everyone in the district. We have a lot of flex stuff, and then we have workshops and things like that. We try to have at least a couple every week. And so you can see here the Zoom spring cleaning, Chat GPT, you know, information. So we might have a create a liquid syllabus. We might soon have to have another one, copying and setting up your course for a new term. This might help, especially because we're asking you to create here and then actually use that, you know, for a real course or portions of it. And so that has that, including the whole send to and copy to, which are they're new since the spring. So those are little new tools that Canvas has. And so we tell you sort of how to do that. And then we talk about interaction and all of that. They're all published. You'll see videos of those the webinars. And so we hope that that can help. So those are the sort of tech things that we have here. So please feel free to jump in here. Clearly, this is not a graded assignment. You know, if you decide to just take a look, not add anything, just mark done, you get your check mark and then you can go on. Of course, we'd love to see what you have there. And let's see, so we're wrapping up. We have a discussion here. Not both of you, both are pretty good at this, but we have had a bit of struggle in this course in the peer replies. And so I think that I noticed in one of them that we do ask for, oh, in the rubric, submit this, was aligned with this, was aligned with that. But I think I'm going to have to change that to the rubric also says reply. So that was for some discussion we had last week. I think as we were designing it, we were so bogged down on the criteria, the description, the blah, blah, humanized touch, closed captions, all of that, that we forgot this column here, the reply one. And so although in the instructions we say reply, the rubric doesn't have it. So I don't know if that was what happened there. But anyway, so your video, you can use Canvas Studio. You can use, if you have other, like, what's the other ones? Screencast-O-Matic, which has a new name now. You can use Zoom. I use Zoom for the recordings. And then I place the YouTube video within the spots. That's my preferred. It's my preferred because it touches up my appearance, and then normally I can use the background, a filter. With Canvas Studio, it doesn't do any of those. But what it does do that's excellent is that it will caption easier. It's easier to caption in Canvas Studio. But you can use whatever you're using, Vimeo, what's another, Camtasia. You can use anything that you're using. All we need to see is a nice, warm, supportive welcome video that's captioned. And when you place it in here, if you don't mind, if you could please place it so it's embedded so that we can see it right there and not a link. Because you know, students and yours truly are more likely to view something or act or interact with it if it's presented to me than if it's a link, right? So links, I'm like, Anyway, we have some just-in-time resources there. Play around with it, have fun. Our students love us. You know, they really do. When they get to see us, to them, it really means that we care, because also they can hear our voice, they can see our face, they can see a smile, they know. And even many reprimands and reminders don't sound harsh when they can see how the tone that we have. You know, and again, so a tone is interpreted by the receiver, not by the sender so much. And so those things help. So I'm going to stop here. I've always thought week 3 was a fun week. But you'll tell me later if you think it was fun or not. I also think it's not that overwhelming. Week 1 is a bit overwhelming, you know. Any questions, or have you encountered anything that you'd like us to dive into? No, it's all good. All right. Well, have a beautiful evening, and I'll try to caption this and put it in our course soon. Okay.
Thank you, Monica.
You're very welcome.
Bye, Annie.
Hi, Janelle. Take care.
You
Bye.
too.